Today I fucked up my friend's proposal. Throwaway account. My friend and his girlfriend do porn. It's amateur level stuff. The two of them set up the cameras themselves and usually shoot all of their scenes in their house. I know this because it's not top secret information and they've always tried to get me on board. Not to participate, thank goodness, but to be behind the camera and shoot some of their work. I'm a freelance photographer and occasionally do video work, so I guess it made sense for them to ask me. I politely declined every time they asked because I had no desire to see my friends having sex, let alone film them in the act. This morning my friend called and asked me again. But before I could decline, he promised me that no sex would take place in my presence. He wanted me to pretend that I finally agreed to shoot one of their scenes, but what I was actually there to film was him proposing to his GF. Somehow it was both wholesome and weird. Needless to say, I was still reluctant. But my friend made it sound like his proposal was not gonna look professional without me there to capture it. To make it even harder for me to turn him down, he made it clear that my presence would help with the nerves, so there I was, setting up my camera in my friend's bedroom. My friend and his girlfriend were already comfortable on the bed while I prepared. Albeit jokingly, the girlfriend repeatedly wanted to know what my friend said to finally convince me to do this. I kept on saying I was strapped for cash and left it at that. As soon as my camera was ready to roll, my friend and his girlfriend started making out. Not gonna lie, the sudden switch from casual conversation to intense kissing was bizarre to observe. Based on the discussion my friend and I had beforehand, the proposal was to happen during the makeout session. It was to go no further than that. It went further. My friend was touching his girlfriend in areas that made me uncomfortable. At first I gave him the benefit of the doubt and convinced myself that he's probably gonna pop the question any minute now. But then he allowed his girlfriend to unzip his pants and reach for his visibly erect penis. For the record, I'm no prude. I enjoy sex and watch porn like most people my age, but what they were doing was not what I signed up for. I changed angles a few times in an attempt to attract my friend's attention so I could send him a telepathic message with my eyes to pop the fucking question and end this shit. My attempts were unsuccessful. I had no choice but to intervene. So, out of frustration, I literally stopped recording and said, "Dude, are you gonna ask her to marry you or not?" The question and the tone of my voice immediately snapped my friend and his girlfriend out of the moment. My friend stared at me like, "What the fuck, bro?" while his girlfriend looked at both of us like it all made sense to her now. My friend sarcastically thanked me for fucking up his proposal before angrily asking me to leave. His poor girlfriend didn't know whether to be over the moon or anticipate a potential fight. I apologized for how I handled the situation and agreed to leave. However, before I was gone, my friend asked me to leave my memory card behind so he could at least use some of the stuff I shot. Not gonna lie, I didn't really care about the footage. Not until earlier today when my friend sent me a link to his latest porn video, which included a special thanks to me. I recognized the footage I shot, but then it cuts to my friend and his girlfriend having sex, which they obviously shot themselves. A dick move. My so-called friend knew the harm something like this could do to my professional reputation if potential clients were to search my name online. I called my friend but he didn't answer any of my calls. I also texted him, which he eventually replied to. He promised to remove my name but said it might take some time, because the site they use tends to crash whenever they try to delete large files for whatever reason. I called him out on that bullshit and straight up asked if he's doing this in retaliation. I'm still waiting for him to respond to my message and to remove my name from that video. What a shitshow. Dr ruined my friend's proposal and now he's punishing me by making it look like I shoot porn. To me that sounds like your friend was lying and wanted help filming to make it more professional looking. Just for the way he acted after. Listen. First red flag is the fact that this dude kept asking you when you'd always decline. Like TF man. And not following script? WTF man. He set you up. Fuck him. That's a shitty friend. You didn't fuck up. Well, okay kind of. You chose that dude as your friend. Don't do that again. You're clearly worth more, and deserve to level up the people around you. Also a photog here. Write to the site he's posted on and get a copyright infringement claim going. They can definitely get your name off of there. That is a serious violation. Also if they done have a commercial license to use your material. Can't you file a DMCA claim with the website? It's your intellectual property, after all. And should be rather easy to prove if your name is on it. Worth considering. Honestly? His plan was never to propose at the making out. The plan was to fuck her and propose, selling as a plug to their amateur porn, and use you in the process. Not your friend. If you have any of his talk in written form, i.e. text or email, take him to court. Make him pay for damages to your image and get you out of their website, and also some form of punishing banner. Seriously, this is sexual assault. They are not your friends, and if any of this is normal in the social circle you have, consider getting away from them too. So he lied to you about not doing anything sexual. Sexually harassed you by having sex in front of you, while you made it clear several times you do not want that. Fucked you over by falsely using your name. And is a dick about the whole situation. How are you the one that screwed up? Your friend really sucks. I wouldn't consider someone like that a friend. Today I fucked up. I thought I could get an Uber or Lyft after anal. Last night, I connected with a friend who wanted to meet up for post-holiday activities. He didn't want his neighbors seeing me come into his home, so he asked me to head over after 11 p.m. when his neighbors would be sound asleep. It hadn't snowed here for a while, maybe 2 years. And yesterday was the first snow day we had this winter. So I decided to walk up to his neighborhood and enjoy the glistening snow in the night. He lives in a neighborhood on top of a hill. My promenade uphill was so lovely. The crisp winter air and the snow were unexpectedly sensuous, and the fact that he gave me an unbelievable pounding when I got there was the cherry on top of a wonderful post-holiday no more family drama night. What I hadn't thought about was my return trip. I was not in any shape to walk home, even if just a mile down the hill, after the aggressive anal my friend gifted me. I was standing outside waiting for my Lyft or Uber, and the drivers kept canceling on me. It was 2-3 a.m., and it must have been below 20 degrees outside. And windy. After about 20 minutes of getting cancelled on because none of the drivers was willing to pick me up on Queen Anne. Apparently Priuses don't do so well on ice. Or the drivers just suck at driving in the snow. I said fuck it and just hiked down to my neighborhood. I hiked up earlier in the night. I could certainly hike my way back down. It was a bad idea. Like so bad. Not only was I already limited in my walking because of earlier activities, but I actually slipped and fell several times on ice, at one point sliding half a block. My jeans and underwear got wet, and they were frozen. What no one talks about with anal is that your sphincter becomes loose for a bit immediately after the activity. There was no way to clench to hold onto the deposited contents from my friend while I shuffled and slid my way down that cursed hill. By the time I made it down the hill, I couldn't tell if I was wet and frozen with snow in my butt, or with leaked contents that I could not contain after all the slipping and sliding, or both. Well, I knew instantly it was some of my friend's contents the minute I stepped into my building's elevator. In the warmth of the building, I could smell the scent of it even though I was wearing a mask. My neighbor in the elevator gave me strange looks because he probably smelled it too. He wasn't wearing a mask, and probably wasn't expecting to run into anyone at 3 or 4 a.m. That's what he gets for not wearing a mask. And yes, I am still sorta pissed at the Uber and Lyft drivers. Too long did not read. I overestimated the dedication of Uber and Lyft drivers. Update. Wow, I did not anticipate so many comments, some of which seem really mean-spirited. And here I thought I was simply sharing an amusing and somewhat embarrassing tale from earlier this AM. Well, you can't get to me because I am pampering myself and listening to my jams after a horrific early morning. My body butter is my shield. Happy thoughts, you can't bring me down, relieved face. Update 2. Thanks for those who left kind comments, and awards. I can't personally thank you all, but I appreciate you. Update 3. Hello. Please keep your D-pics for your Tinder or Grindr. I was just here to vent about the experience. Merci beaucoup. Update 4. And yes, I did pick an apropos song while pampering myself with body butter and body oil. Be kind to your skin. Moisturize and seal. Update 5. Dear fellow Seattleites, you are absolutely correct. There was snow last winter around Valentine's, but WFH 2020-2021 has really warped my sense of time. Apologies. Next time tell him to carry you home on his dick. Use the bathroom after sex? Push a lil. He sounds like a shit friend for not driving you home. Also, damn. Did he make you wait outside? That's cold. Today I fucked up by having a shitty FWB. Just be glad the cum didn't become an icicle spike, get impaled. Dude, if your friend is giving you gifts like that, just stay the night. He's more than a friend. Edit. Also, have him wear a condom. STDs are no joke. To be fair, I wouldn't have wanted to drive in Queen Anne at 2 a.m. either, and I drive a four-wheel drive truck, have always lived in the Seattle area and have lots of experience driving in snow around here. Driving in snow here isn't like most other places, especially the snow we had yesterday. It was below freezing. The snow hits the warmer ground and a bit of it melts, then freezes. Then more powder falls on top, if it making for wonderfully icy roads. If he was a gentleman he would have got you home or let you stay the night. Today I fucked up by thinking honey is spicy. Well, the realization came today, but it's been going on for all my life. Every time I had good quality honey around it always seemed to be kind of spicy to me, like a tingly feeling all over my tongue and lips. Kind of like pineapple sometimes. The thing is, I quite like the taste of honey, but the offset of being reminded of that for the next couple of hours meant it didn't happen too often. I always assumed that's just what honey is supposed to taste like until my girlfriend told me that absolutely no one thinks honey is spicy and that I might be allergic. One call to my doc later, it turns out I am. Makes total sense, since I technically have an allergy to pollen and different grasses, that I hardly notice. Kinda feeling dumb now, but at least girlfriend and I had a great laugh. Too long did not read. Thought honey was spicy, but it's just me having an allergic reaction. Edit. Wording. Edit 2. My pineapple sensation might not have been the best comparison. It does not taste spicy. Just a little zesty, which others have assured me is normal. Also didn't react to it on my allergy test, so I reckon I should be fine. Thanks for the concern though, y'all are a bunch of lovely people. I did effectively the same thing but for chocolate instead of honey. I thought chocolate made everyone's saliva thick and throat and lips all hot and makes them sweat. Nope. Ha. Carrots for me, but my allergy developed spontaneously. At this point I, 36 female at the time, was eating around 1–2 pounds of raw carrots a week. Then one day I noticed that my mouth was tingly and then going numb. I mentioned to my coworker that I thought my carrots must have been grown next to chili plants or something because they were spicy. She told me that wasn't a thing and that I should get checked out. Well, long story short, newly minted carrot allergy. I had the same problem with kiwi fruit. I was in my 30s when I finally learnt it wasn't supposed to burn and tingle. I think it's pretty common mistake, don't worry. Still funny though. I also had similar experiences with Japanese apple kaki, 100% not sure I spelled it correctly in English, and for long time nuts. Every time I ate those my tongue would feel like it's on fire or like needles are stubbing me in mouth. Luckily it stopped happening with nuts before I died from anaphylaxis. Kaki I haven't eaten since I was a child, so I don't know about that one. I had a boyfriend in high school with a similar situation. We were out to eat and I got a salad with carrots in it. I asked him if he wanted a bite, but he said he doesn't like carrots because they make your tongue itchy. I said what, no they don't, and he was so shocked that carrots didn't make everyone's tongue itch. I said, buddy, I think you're allergic to carrots, and it turns out he was LMAO. I think you may be allergic to pineapple also. Mine is mangoes. Never understood why people liked it cause it always tasted like burning fire to me. Yup. Allergic to both the fruit and flavoring of it. I've been told that I might be able to have a mango-flavored chip, but I see zero reason to test it. I'm not a fan of hives down my throat and peeling skin and body rashes. Lesson to be learned from all these comments is that unless media or people overtly say, "This is spicy," you're probably allergic to it. Today I fucked up by exposing a 50-year-old family secret. Obligatory, not today, but a few years ago. My wife's parents have never been easy to shop for at Christmas. They always did well financially and we didn't. If they wanted something they just bought it. But a few years ago they retired at the same time my wife and I started doing better, so we decided to actually get them something big, in addition to our usual pictures of the kids. My mother-in-law had always been into genealogy. She had been building her own family tree for a few years on Ancestry and had talked about getting a DNA test. But she kept saying that $100 was a bit much to spend on answers she already knew. So I asked my wife what she thought about getting each of her parents a DNA kit for Christmas. She thought it was a great idea, so we picked up a couple. So Christmas morning comes around and we make the trek to the in-laws' house. We had dinner, visited, looked at pictures, the things you do at family gatherings. Finally, the time came for the gift exchange. My father-in-law and mother-in-law both opened their gifts. My mill got really quiet for a couple of seconds before speaking up. "Oh, thank you. I've really been thinking about this but didn't want to spend the money." Now that I have one, I guess I'll do it." The rest of the day was spent just hanging out and visiting. Nothing else was said about the tests. A couple of days later, my wife and I were sitting in the living room when her phone rang. She looked at me and said she'd be right back. She went into our bedroom and closed the door. After about half an hour, I had to get in there to use the bathroom. She was still on the phone, so I walked through quickly. When I got out, she was sitting on the bed with a blank stare and a half smile on her face. "Are you okay?" Silence. She looked me dead in the eye, grinned ear to ear, and said, "I have a brother." Now, my wife and I had been together for over 25 years at this point. I know her extended family as much as I know my own. She has one sister. That's it. Her parents were married when they were in their early 20s and my wife was born soon after. I was trying to figure out when they would have had a son. "How do you— Oh shit. Your mom got pregnant when she was a teenager, didn't she?" "Yep. She was sent to a convent to have the baby and he was adopted out in a closed adoption. Her sister took a DNA test about a year ago and he showed up as her nephew. My mom knew she couldn't keep it a secret any longer. That explains why she hesitated when we gave her the DNA kit. She knew there'd be an immediate connection. Yeah. Since then, we've met and come to know this new person in our family and things have been pretty solid with all of us, as long as we don't discuss politics or religion. My Phil knew about this before they got married 50 years ago, but they just never talked about it. My Mill spent over 50 years being really scared about revealing this family secret. Getting pregnant out of wedlock was super taboo in much of the US in the 1960s. It all ended up coming out okay, but I still consider this a foo because I inadvertently opened a closet of skeletons that I didn't even know existed. Too long did not read. I got my mother-in-law a DNA test for Christmas that made her confess to being a pregnant teenager in the 1960s. Edit. Moved the too long did not read. To the end. Smile. I did a genealogy test with 2 of my 4 sisters, also have 2 brothers, right before I turned 50. Turned out I was just their half-brother. Found out mom had an affair when dad was fighting in Vietnam, and I was the result. Yay, DNA tests. Adopted in 1966, found my bio family through 23andMe. Bio mom and I made a good connection, she didn't have any other children. We are very similar personality-wise. She's like a fun aunt at this point. Bio dad has 3 other children. They have never reached out. Very closed off, only communicate through an email address shared with his wife. I think she feels threatened. I was very clear that I was only looking for friendship-type connection. I have a family, the one that adopted me as a baby. Enjoy your additional family member. I think you actually gave your Mill a wonderful gift. Damn near exact same thing happened to me at 50. I was at a family friend's funeral and got a text from my aunt on my dad's side. My first thought was something happened to my grandmother, as I never hear from my aunt unless something bad happens. She asked me to take a ancestry DNA test, since my dad had been dead for a few years, because she was contacted by someone who claims she was his aunt. Long story short, I find out I had a half-brother 6 months younger than I. Exact reason I can't bring myself to do it. My mom cheated on my dad so many times, after 37 years I wouldn't want to know. My dad doesn't know it was more than one time she did. Well, you've convinced me. I gotta try the DNA test. My grandma got pregnant by a man she didn't know was married in the early 60s. And she was forced to give the baby up by her mother. She never even got to see them. The family has tried private investigators and everything else we can think of but this. Maybe this will be the answer. Grandma passed before I was born, but I think about it a lot. Congrats. Now tell us about the opposing political and religious views. Same thing happened to my mom in the 60s, except that she got sent off to live with her grandmother for 6 months in the big city on the other side of the state. When we finally reconnected with my sister, it turned out that the couple who adopted her lived about 10 miles away from my mom, a few hundred miles from the city where the adoption happened.